Good thing you're masked.
Yes. Oh, what did I miss here now? Oh, boy. Oh, did we start?
We're ready.
Are you guys ready? Okie dokie, I'd like to, okay. I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Grand Marais Public Library Board of Trustees on Thursday, May 26th at 5:01 p.m. We'll do roll call and introduction of visitors. I'm Dave Mills, Cook County Commissioner and the Board President.
Kevin McGuire, I'm the Vice President.
Sue McClone, I'm a trustee.
Sarah McManus, I'm a trustee.
Kim Dunsmore, Finance Director for the city.
Kristen Wazeski is the Assistant Director, and I'm Amanda St. John, the Library Director.
And we have Shane Steele here, the Grand Marais Sustainability Coordinator.
Correct.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. And next we have the consent agenda, which includes our meeting agenda as well as the minutes and the bills. As far as our meeting agenda is concerned, considering we may have a time constraint with a quorum, are there any items, action items that we want to move up at all, would you say, Amanda?
Definitely foundation and waterproofing proposals,
Okay.
so we can get started with those. And in order to stay on our timeline for budget, we probably need to have that too.
Oh, we need to make a decision on that today.
So what would happen at this meeting is that the board would have a pretty solid idea of where they'd like to see the budget directed. And that would give me the opportunity to make some changes for you. And then at the next meeting is where we'd need to approve it to stay on the timeline.
Okay. Well, I think it would be good to have Sarah's input there for the budget as well. But I think consensus, but I guess we'll just aim to still have you here for that. So.
Okay.
But I don't know that we need action per se. But in respect to Kim's time, maybe we should have Kim first with the library funds and then move up all those proposals, or the communications and all that. Does that sound good to everybody? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So then I would just entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion there? Concerns? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And take it away, Kim.
Okay, I brought you these big sheets just to give you an idea of how the money flows for the library. The first one says 2021, and this is your operating budget. So you can see on the top section that the city transfers to the library $33,505 each month. And you have, a little bit of copies and book replacement, things like that. But that shows you for 6 months the city is putting that into the library's operating fund. Last year, the county's half of it came in June. You can see that on the first line, other county grants and aid for $171,249. And then the last months of the year, you draw down that balance. So you can see on the very bottom, shows the net income for 2021 that you spent $14,881 less than what you budgeted. In 2022, you can see that column, we spent $54,000 less than what we budgeted. kind of a different year with COVID, and I think we didn't hire assistant director right away. So then you can see just how the money flows. The second page is for 2022. The top section with revenues, we haven't finished May yet, so that's not filled in. But we've already approved and paid all the bills we pay for May, so you can see that's there. And that is why, you know, we are supported by property taxes for the library that get paid in May and October, and we get our disbursements from the county in either June or July, and then October or November. So that's why it's nice to be able to keep a 6-month balance of cash in the library for operating expenses. And if you look at this cash balance by fund, you can see in 2021, we ended the year with $136,423 in our operating cash. And for April, because we haven't finished May yet, we have $156,000 in cash, which is pretty much that 6 months, so we're in good shape there. The 215 is your restricted funds that Hazel Matthews and kind of these wills, they all say the same thing, that that it should be utilized in a fashion that does not lessen any or substitute for monetary support from the state, county, city, or any other source of public funds. So each and every one of them say the same thing. And if you look at your financial policy, it's in line with the wills that are there. So typically, any building expenses that are big or unexpected have come from this restricted fund, which is nice in this case of where the library has flooded. So we're gonna have some big expenses there. We've also made a claim to our insurance about that, and there's a $10,000 deductible. We've also talked with Mike Keyport about potential FEMA funds for that flooding. So that's where that lies right now. If you look at the second set of pages here, this is the 215 fund. So you can see this 2,000 that's in our budget is the extra 1,000 from the city and the county toward the carpet fund. But you can look at that and see what kind of donations we have received, or ALS bestsellers plans, the Minnesota Foundation grant. And then you can see on the lower half of the page the types of things that we've used the money for. So do you have any questions?
Probably what I find most valuable is our financial policy, which you didn't have to bring, we could just look up. But
Yeah.
having you here and having this in front of us is really helpful. Just talking about the operating, the 211 versus the 215, I think is worth pointing out, especially when we're talking about some of these expenditures with the flood, and they're pretty sizable. Yeah. I feel foolish because I just had this emergency management training. And I can't remember the process exactly. But I think we just put our best foot forward and take care of business as we need to, and then we get reimbursed is the long and short of it, so.
Right.
Anyone else have any comments or questions? Maybe not right now, but if right now, please go ahead.
Kim, would you just lightly touch on the cycle of insurance setting and contract negotiation?
Yes, so, in your budget, if you wanna go into that, we estimated 5% for salaries. Now, last year, we estimated 3% and we settled at 5%. We feel the city wages are maybe a little below our counterparts at the county and the state and federal agencies. So we settled at 3, or we budgeted 3, we settled at 5, so we feel it's prudent to go with the estimated 5%. Then, of course, all the para, FICA, Medicare, they're all percentages of what the wages are. The health insurance, we estimated at 30%. We're with Minnesota PEEP right now. And
Say that again, sorry.
Minnesota PEEP, the Public Employee Insurance Program.
Okay.
That's through the state. And what I'm hearing is that the other pools had a 30 to 50% increase. So what's been happening is the smaller groups like ours have moved to PEEP from the service co-op that the county uses. And so claims are starting to go up. So now they're having the same problem as a few years back when we were in the co-op and our premiums went up.
Oh, you're getting double hit, basically?
Right,
Oh.
so, we will be looking at the co-op again in the fall and getting quotes from both places. I understand that the co-op transition from Blue Cross to Medica has gone well, so that's encouraging. So this is just an unknown. We thought it prudent to estimate at 30% for right now, because when you set the preliminary levy, you can't increase it, but you can reduce it.
Okay, thank you
So,
for explaining that.
That's
'cause,
where we are right now.
Yeah, the 30% caught my eye and I was like, holy smokes.
Right.
And for whatever reason, I thought you were with
The
Northwest
co-op.
Service Cooperative.
Because we used to be.
Okay,
I
that's
think
fine.
we've been with PEEP for maybe 5 years now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because the county's insurance went down 10% this last time, which
Right.
was a shocker.
Mhm.
See if that
And
ever
ours
happens
went
again.
up 10%.
Yours went up 10% last?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Dang.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well. Well, so 30 to 50% is what you said the rest of Peeps?
That's what I'm hearing. I haven't
Yeah.
seen anything
Okay.
factual yet, but that's what I'm hearing from my agent.
50%, that's,
It's crazy.
yeah, 30% is alarming, 50% is crazy, yes.
Mhm.
Okay, well, any questions about that? And I guess maybe we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but since you're here, it's really helpful. When I went through this, that's pretty much, I mean, it looks like you guys tried to trim down some things, maybe to help buffer that drastic increase, but that's really the big increase, and what are you gonna do, shop, but in the meanwhile, just have to budget,
Right.
kind of worst case, which 30% maybe isn't worst case, but I don't know that 50% is,
Right, and we generally don't hear those numbers until
Right.
we get into September, or
Right.
even the beginning of October.
yeah,
So that's still time to reduce
yeah.
our levy, but at the preliminary levy that has to be done in September, we're kind of fooling ourselves if we don't budget for what we're hearing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when I saw the 30%, I, of course, contacted our administrator and HR director and said, hey, what are you guys hearing? Because city is estimating 30%, and Leah said, our co-op rep is not comfortable yet giving a guesstimate, so,
Mm-hmm.
which is a little unsettling as well, but
Yeah.
like you said, it's normally later on that we find out, so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you think of other questions, you can always
Yeah.
email me and I can have Amanda address it at a next meeting.
Yeah, and again, I just really appreciate you being here and having the printout and kind of going through everything briefly. And it is a very big and complicated sheet, so I don't expect everyone to just be able to digest it immediately. And it kind of, if you're not used to going through these, it does take time to get used to it too, but
Well,
it's
you
all
get
public
this-
documents and,
You get this year end, but I just wanted to show how the money flows throughout
Mm-hmm.
the year, so.
Thank you. Well, anybody have anything?
Yeah, thank you. These printouts are helpful. It'd be a lot of scrolling otherwise. Yeah, this is nice.
It's mind-boggling that anybody can even figure all this out.
Yes. Yeah, Kim, you do amazing work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you want me to stick around for the waterproofing or not?
I think I'm okay.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Great to see ya.
Nice to see you too.
All right, then, that brings us down to, Shane Steele as well as, these proposals, I'd say.
Oh, I can listen over.
Do-si-do with your partner.
Okay. Yeah, so thanks for having me back. I had just a brief memo in your packet, and then the two proposals. And I guess I'm just here to answer questions about those and to hear which direction you'd like to go. Both proposals are essentially for the same thing. The library has 3 kind of air conditioning packages. And the proposals are to take one of those packages, which is an outdoor condensing unit, serving 3 indoor wall-mounted like head units, and replacing them with the heat pump. There's some piping between the outdoor unit and the indoor units that both contractors said they think they could clean them out and use them again because right now there's some old refrigerant in those pipes and they'd have to clean them out to put the new fluid in for the heat pumps. They say we're pretty sure we can clean them out and use the old pipes, but there is a chance we'd have to go into the wall and rip out the old pipes to put in new pipes. And they can't really tell me exactly if they'd have to do that until, they're like working on it, or if they need to take a closer look. But both contractors came up to the library, walked through, and I sent them plans, I sent them benchmarking data, energy use for the library, propane usage, and yeah, this is what they came back with. So pretty much the exact same project from 2 different contractors. Jamar Company is one of the contractors. We've been working with them on our heat optimization, and they sent up a technician, and he went through the whole heating system of the library, and we got back that kind of report on how the heat's working. And then this other company is Twin Ports Custom Climate. They are another company that does heat pumps. They've got a long record of doing heat pumps. They're from, I think they're in Superior. And yeah, I can stop talking to answer questions, or I keep elaborating on some things. I guess one thing I'll say is that I did put some estimated cost savings for this project in the memo. The heat pumps are supposed to work efficiently down to 5 degrees Fahrenheit, and then when it gets colder than that, they become less efficient. So they're most efficient at 45 degrees, and then they get a little bit less efficient as we get colder and colder, but they're still quite good down to 5 degrees. So if we were using them this year, we'd still have them on, I think.
Yeah.
And saving us some propane.
Are both of the proposals all-inclusive, or would we also need an electrician?
Yeah, they're inclusive. They would install and even teach us how to use them and when to use them. Yeah.
Did they give you an idea of what it would cost if they have to replace all the pipes? Because of course they will.
Of course, yeah. No, when I spoke with both of them, there wasn't a discussion of if they felt confident they could clean the pipes and reuse them, and then if we have to, but I can certainly go get that information if that's
Maybe it'd
something.
be good, is that another $1,000 or $10,000? I mean, it'd be good to know what that would be.
Okay.
So there's, significant difference in the costs of the estimates. And I like that we've worked with Jamar before. I also like that Twin Ports Custom Climate has experience and a reputation with heat pumps. There was some language on the proposal from Twin Ports that gave me pause about it being not as concrete of a number. Just that pricing is for budgetary purposes only. Final proposal will follow further site visit and unit count. Is that just kind of a blanket disclaimer, or how confident are they in their?
This seemed like like you said, this was like, here we'll give you this is not an exact number,
Yeah.
but this gives you a ballpark of what you're working with. So it's not a $40,000 project, but it's not a $10,000 project.
Okay.
This gets us in the range of that cost. But they did mention they would get more specific if we go with their proposal.
Okay.
But both of these companies being in Duluth, coming up for a site visit is a cost to them. So they came up the one time and looked, and then putting together their proposal, they actually couldn't revisit for answering questions that came up.
Well, what's your recommendation?
Yeah, that's a tough one for me. I've been speaking with both of them.
Yeah.
Speaking with both of them and asking them, it's like, what's your timeline? How far out are you booked? Do you have
Sure.
any supply chain issues? They're both said they're about a month out. When we say let's do it, they're probably both about a month out. Both said that it would be 2 or 3 days of construction and they'd be done. Both are willing to work with us to kind of get us trained in on how to use them, when to use them, so that staff know when to turn them on so that they're most efficient, and when to turn them off so that we're not trying to heat air that's minus 20 degrees.
Is there any automation we can have with that?
That's a good question too.
Okay.
I think there would be some scheduling that we could include with them, just because it is newer technology and that just seems
Yeah.
like it should be there.
Yeah, you would think, yeah. And can this project tie into our waterproofing? Or how might it tie into that?
Right.
And maybe that's not your
Well,
wheelhouse.
I think we would be looking at replacing the condensing unit that's out behind the building. That we're already, I think you're already replacing that one, or have to move it anywhere?
Both proposals requested that we remove condensing units. I call them AC units, but whatever these things are that are behind our building, they have to come out for the work to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was thinking,
Mhm.
I just wonder if these projects should go back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's coming out already.
Yeah, so that circuit with the condensing unit back behind the building, and then there's the wall-mounted unit kind of in the staff area in the back, and then there's one kind of part like in the entrance area. And then I can't remember where the third one is, but I think that's the one we're talking about replacing, and not the two that serve the front of the building, which gets the wintertime sun anyway, and so tends to be a little warmer. We were aiming for the heat pump to address the cold area of the staff kind of area and offer that efficiency, so.
And that's where we're tore up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it could be a good timing.
Mhm.
When Amanda and I talked a few weeks ago, we were kind of like, let's see, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry I'm not willing to give you a recommendation on which one.
That wasn't
Just-
fair, that wasn't fair of me.
Yeah, just because have been speaking with both of them, and so I don't know if it would be my place to make that decision.
No, no, and I don't expect you to. I was just, you know, seeing, I was going fishing. And you know, you having spoken to both of them, you might have had a preference.
Let me
so.
say this, that we have a working relationship with Jamar. We
Yeah.
know that they can help us and get things done. But also that when I've been working with this other company, Twin Ports Custom Climate, they've been very easy to contact and they've been prompt with their responses. So both are good. I don't want to pick
Yep.
yeah.
Well, and the fact that Twin Ports is what, $4,000 cheaper, that makes me lean that way. If they've been responsive and I feel like give them a shot, that's how we can be most responsible with the dollars there. But do other board members have any thoughts or questions?
If there isn't an obvious reason to go with one or another, it does seem like then you go with the cheaper one.
Yeah.
And you imply that you feel confident with both of these companies. So capitalism says you pick the cheaper one. But if there's a good reason to go with the other one,
Right. I just don't, that's not apparent to me.
I haven't seen any of Twin Ports' work, you know, so Jamar, we did the heating assessment. They sent up a technician. We got the report. They did the drinking fountain as well. So, and they come up here frequently because they work on the city's public works garage. So they are.
There's an ongoing relationship.
There's a little bit of an ongoing relationship. There's also that they seem to be more of a commercial building related company. Like they don't do residential. Twin Ports does residential. But they're a bigger company. And so, you know, I have the cell phone number of the guy that is at Twin Ports. And he answers on the first ring. Jamar, sometimes it takes me a day or two to get a conversation scheduled.
Sure.
So I'm just trying to give you as much information as I have.
It's helpful.
Yeah. I can ask Twin Ports to get us a firmer number. Like a really firm number. I think the Jamar number is quite firm.
Yeah.
Because they do a lot of these. If you're interested in a much firmer number. And maybe with some follow-up on what if you do have to replace the pipes.
Yeah, I think that's probably an important factor. But they might, I mean,
They might not know until they start.
yeah, and it's such a new building. I guess I'm no expert on the coolant and the pipes and what it does to the pipes, but you would think it wouldn't be so far gone that they would have to do that. So
Both-
I'm really hopeful that.
When they were here, both removed panels in the wall to look at the pipes, and they were both like, I wish I could get in there further, but I can't. So we just don't know
Sure.
till we come up with the construction team, so.
So timing wise, it seems like a bad move to put this decision off until next month. What are your feelings on that, Amanda? As far as getting a firmer number or getting
Well-
automation stuff or?
I mean, if I'm keeping up with the conversation, which I'm really trying to do, it seems great that we're bringing this information to you now so that we can think about all of the other expenses coming up in context and to recognize that some of the work that we're planning to do that we'll be talking about in a minute could potentially overlap. Can't happen until we make some decisions about the waterproofing anyway. Can we just ask Shane to get that information and keep this conversation live? I think 30 days is okay to make a strong decision on which quote, if we can get some more information.
These are only valid for like 15 days, which I don't expect it to change that much. It's just they're covering themselves.
And they're
Oh.
both more than 15 days old, by the way. Already.
So October.
Yeah, so
The
chuck
Twin
'em.
Porch says it's valid till the 16th of May.
Okay, yeah. So what are you even doing here? No. Yeah, probably the bigger conversation. I guess just have to make a decision on which way to go. Seems like the savings make sense. Seems like a wonderful project. Just who to use, maybe get the firmer number. But the bigger project appears to be that waterproofing, and that's kind of where we need to dive in a little bit more. So I don't know what our decision timeline on that is, but it seems more pertinent than this one. This one's kind of seems like a piggybacky situation that we can really take advantage of.
And really, that's why the quotes are expired, because this was going to happen a little. We were kind of on a bit of a faster trajectory with this, and then it was like, whoa.
Yeah,
flooding.
yeah, Shane really
Pause.
was very concerned about being respectful of the flood response that we're doing. It's just we happened to think that they could cross over.
Yep.
Is there any issue with having enough money for both?
So we have the figures in front of us. The 215 budget right now has about $407,000 in it to work with. If you follow policy, you need to keep about half of our operating budget, $200,000 in there. Also $20,000 for computers and $10,000 deductible. So I think we could manage both of these projects with what we have. Is everybody interested in the air source heat pumps? Does it feel like a good fit project that we don't want to forget about?
I would say, for me personally, strongly yes.
Mm-hmm.
The efficiency, the cost savings, also kind of proving the technology publicly, I think it's just a wonderful project. What do other people think?
Yeah, it seems like a very good fit for the building.
I'm excited about it, and I'd hate to miss out. I'd hate to let it go entirely. So
Yeah.
what do you need? What do we need for you?
Well, I'll ask Twin Ports to be a little bit more firm in their commitment on that. Go from a proposal to maybe a proper quote or whatever is the next step from proposal. And I'll ask them to give us numbers if they do have to go into the wall and replace pipes. What does that do to the amount? And as soon as I have that, I'll send it to Amanda. And I don't know how it works when you're not in meeting, if you can email everyone, but if you want to see those numbers sooner than your next meeting, if that's possible, or maybe we're waiting till the next meeting at this point.
It's the best to wait, I think, but I can ask questions about that too.
And if need be, just timing wise, lining up contractors, heat, whatever, waterproofing, whatever, we can call a special meeting and just
Okay,
get her done.
Yeah.
awesome.
Just because I don't want to miss an opportunity, and I don't want to, jeopardize the flow of getting things taken care of.
And would you rather move in the direction of calling a special meeting? Or would you like to say we endorse this type of project and not to exceed $35,000 or something? Would you please choose the contractor that makes the most sense?
And the 35 is to.
I'm just throwing out a number because if he's gonna go a
Right.
little bit larger than what they're proposing in case they come back with some information about the piping or whatever.
Yep, I don't think anyone's trying to rip us off, so that's, you know, in good faith, I'm comfortable with that kind of thing. I see nodding, so, yeah.
Yeah. And pick a number that you feel comfortable with, like, hey, if it's gonna cost this much more, let's talk about it again first. I'm just wondering if that would be a good way to free up the project to move forward.
Me not knowing a whole lot, I would be thinking like 26,000 should cover it. I don't know where all the piping, what they're talking about, all the heat piping, like that might add up to more than that, but
And-
again, me not knowing anything, I feel comfortable that they won't have to replace piping, but yeah, you were gonna say
I was
something.
just gonna say that this circuit has the longest runs between because it serves kind of the west end of the building and the back of the building, so maybe if they have to replace piping, it would be a lot of piping.
Yeah.
But I am in your camp, Dave, of, I don't think they're gonna have to.
Right.
They didn't even they were like, well, if we have to, that's a different, but like, they felt really confident that they could clean it out.
Yeah. So, we're looking for a motion then, of some kind here, to, well, and again, it feels like we should go with the lesser quote, but the fact that there's an ongoing relationship gives me pause. The fact that they did the whole assessment and have that working knowledge, I don't know how big of a factor that is in the rest of the board's thought process, but very open to discussion here.
If we were to make the motion for an amount of money and to accept the project but not say which.
Right.
And then that decision can be made, you know, when we get the final costs from Twin Ports. It looks like the Marais is probably final.
Yeah.
So if we were to move, let's say, to go ahead with the heat pump project for a maximum of $28,000.
Okay.
And I don't know if I need to say anything more in the motion.
Okay.
Maximum of 28,000?
That's what I said, yeah.
Is there support?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Further discussion? Thoughts? Comments? Seems like a very safe number, and we can see what the firmer Twin Ports number is. My comfort is more with Jamar, but because of the cost, I'm leaning Twin Ports. We'll just have to see how that pans out. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Shane,
Thanks
for
for
your
supporting the
work.
project.
Yeah,
Appreciate
your
it.
research and your phone calling and hunting people down. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Have a good night. That moves us to the foundation waterproofing proposals. Very different proposals here,
They
or
are.
costs rather.
Yeah.
And I guess, you know, I didn't see the Tim's Landscaping one until now. Do you want to lead the charge here?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been able to this point to get two proposals for stopping the library from flooding again. Just to put this in a little bit of context, we did have flooding problems 10 years ago. I believe there was some excavation to the back of the building. We still flooded again this 10 years later. So Northern States Basement Systems came up. Both of the contractors feel strongly that we need some sort of a French drain between the two buildings, outside, between our building and the building up the hill from us. Both of them feel that we need some sort of internal remedy. And then there was discussion as to how best to treat the foundation on the exterior of the wall, and that's what's really separating these two proposals. Northern States Basement Systems provided us a really comprehensive solution that includes insulation and frost protection. They are working with integrating the system that we already have. I consider their solution more elegant. They want to basically, on the internal side, they want a jackhammer from the director's office all the way down into the mechanical closet at the opposite end of the building. Install a sump pump there, so we would have we're not actually using a drain tile, we're using something called cactus board, and it's supposed to collect water deeper. So the water would be routed to the closet that's already handling water from the building, and it would eject out the side of the east side of our building, and have all this equipment that keeps it from freezing up, to put it in my simplest terms. Outside, we would be doing a full excavation in order to repair the waterproofing layer on the back of our building. You can see that the liner is pulling away from the building and it's at ground level. We would be sealing that wall, and then also there would be a positive grade to the building, so that instead of the hill sloping down to our building and carrying all the water directly to it, we would have a positive grade to create a valley that would lead to the French drain to take care of the surface water. And then one of the things that's really great, if we do all the way down, we're going to be able to see whether there are additional problems with the drain tile that's installed, and currently we don't actually know where any of the water is draining to. So when all of this was happening, like, city staff couldn't say, let's go dig up over here and see if it's blocked from this end, let's go run cables or something in from this end over here where it's draining to. We don't know where it is. So again, this one is managing the water table inside of the building. It's using the existing infrastructure in order to eject water from the building. It is addressing the foundation waterproofing and the existing drain tile outside. It's, yeah, I think that's it, sorry, just being redundant here. So it's thorough. Tim's Landscaping, which is also called number 1 waterproofing. Their internal solution would be to, again, jackhammer from the director's office only partially into the library, and to create a drain tile inside of the building. They would install also a sump pump either right in the middle of our computer area with the dome showing in the floor and a pipe going up the building and out of the building. Or they would put that sump pump in the second office that we just built. We'll call it my office. They would put that in the floor in my office to move the water outside. So it's less change to the building. It's also not really what we want. We kind of want to use the mechanical closet for the plumbing, in my view. So Tim's proposal felt that he would also be doing outside, also be doing a positive grade to create that V shape and to really take full advantage of the French drain. And he was going to use a poly layer, a plastic layer or a membrane layer along the positive grade under the French drain, and he felt that that would be a sufficient solution as opposed to digging down deeper into the to do the foundation to actually waterproof the wall. He has nothing in his proposal for, there's no insulation, there's no consideration of frost, and where his French drain in the back of the library comes out, or where the pipe that's coming out of the director's office, where that goes along the back side of the building, there's no solution for where the water exits to have any heat tape or anything to make sure that that doesn't freeze or clog. So, yeah, I think I've got that.
Where was the sump pump in northern states? Where was that located?
Yeah. Can we do pictures? I think pictures would be fun. It's okay. Okay. And can you arrow down?
Oh, those
Just
gutters,
with
huh?
your finger. Okay, go up one. Stop. This is the mechanical closet in the east side of the building. This is where our existing sump pump is, the one that is working especially well in the newer part of our building. This is where Northern States wants to put the new one. They would also upgrade the size to be able to manage the amount of water that we were pulling out of the library. Could you tab down once? These two locations are where Tim's wants to put that sump pump and pipe. Either in this part where the ladder is basically in the purple office there, or in the middle of the public area by the clock.
So you'd just be sitting there and the sump pump would be
Yes. His feeling is that the new building may have drain tile that's its own system. He didn't have an intention of tying them together, and it stops him from having to jackhammer all the way down, all the way down through the library through the side of the building that has something that's functioning well. But there's no great place to the west of our building to just put this. The closest thing is a server closet where all of our electronics are operating from. Both proposals require us, could we go to the first picture all the way back up to the top? See this white piece of equipment and these two little units on the outside of our building? Thank you, Kristen. We have to get that out of the way for either proposal. And that's why Shane and I were talking about air source heat pumps, is because I think it's all tied in together. Oh my gosh, you guys, I lost my train of thought. 1 second. What was I just talking about?
What they'd have to move to do the work.
Or the sump pump location, or
It'll come back to me. So Tim's proposal would come, you see the first set of windows? The pipe would come out through the wall beneath those windows someplace, and it would be run outside of the building in the positive grade, all the way down away from our building where the water would drain. I'm concerned about that and frost. The other proposal is making sure that as much of the water can be handled internally where it stays warm as possible. This moves it actually back out of the building and down. God darn, I can't remember what I was just gonna say to you.
what is that thing down by the last set of windows, kind of a ways to the north.
Yeah, we think that this is and it used to be like a post for an antenna.
Okay.
And we were talking to Northern States about just having that dug up and removed, if that's what it actually is. It's like a pedestal for something. We just take care of that.
That's on our property.
Yeah.
And where is the property line?
It's got to be on the far side of the propane tank, but not
Oh.
far beyond it.
Yeah, sure. We know it's really interesting. So I don't suppose we've been in contact with CenturyLink at all.
That Mike would be handling that, or Lenny would be handling that for me, because we need to get their building guttered.
Yeah. And I think they do too, based on what I'm seeing on their foundation.
Both proposals do a positive grade away from the building, so that would take the dirt level up higher on the building. I just think it would be very short-sighted of us if we were this close, had all this equipment up here, and then didn't go down. And I think it would also be a poor decision if we weren't considering frost, since this happened in a rain and frost ground, a frozen ground, rain on snow event.
Yeah, I think, like I was saying before, other people were having issues because of their drain tile freezing, so
Yeah.
we do need to be on top of that. What's really interesting to me is Tim's proposal just kind of goes as far as the flooding happened this time, right? Is
Right.
that- Yeah.
Yes.
Versus, what's their names? Northern
Northern States.
Northern States, is doing the whole shebang, which seems, I think that's what you were saying, Amanda, it seems like a more thorough, a comprehensive solution.
Yeah. So I remembered what I was going to say and how important it was. Can
Okay.
I come back? There are hidden costs. There are costs that we need to talk about. I don't want to call
Yeah.
them hidden. They're here. They're spelled out. Particularly, both estimates want us to get rid of those units so that they can come through with their equipment. And Kristen, would you go down once or twice? One more. Yeah. Northern States proposal actually asks us to get rid of, we need to use electricians and plumbing folks or city staff to relocate we have to pull the baseboard heat out. Part of their proposal they've offered, it would be additional. It's $1,700 to put this Clean Smart something or other on the wall that basically creates a vapor layer on the inside of the building. Justin, who's the contractor that I'm working with, felt we don't really need it. It's if you want to ice your cake. In that case, for sure, we actually need to strip the wall up to the data ports and the electrical bar. So their proposals for $41,395, we also need to have this work done with another contractor locally or with city staff. We need to pull this equipment off the walls so that they can do their job and put it back.
Does this seem like something city staff can do?
I think we're gonna need to get help. So if I can, hey, bear with me, it's my first flood. Putting all this pressure on myself to begin, it's okay. Just to outline the costs a little bit, if we can play that game. We had flood cleanup service from ServPro. They did an awesome job. I'm still waiting for the bill. I expect it to be a little bit hefty, just because of how much we relied on them when we had multiple floods that they responded to. We're gonna have to then do preliminary electrical, heating, or plumbing work in order to remove equipment, and how much depends on the proposal. Then we're gonna do the waterproofing, which would be between 20,000 and say 45,000. We're gonna, at some point, need general contractors to repair and paint the drywall and to repair all of the molding that's been removed from the floorboards, or whatever you call that. We're gonna have to have electrical, heating, and plumbing put back. Our carpet is a question mark. We're definitely gonna have to have it cleaned, which is totally fine because we have that on our agenda this year anyway. It's in the budget for this year. But a lot of it in the back room has been damaged. I don't think I have enough to replace what's been removed from the floor. And there are tiles coming up all throughout the library that either need to be re-glued or the carpet's gonna have to get replaced. I don't know yet. And then our main circulation desk is twisting and moving, or was while it was wet. So you can see where the seams are like coming apart and the baseboards are off. Just as an estimate on that one, the original cost us about $14,000. We worked with St. Germain. That was in 2011. So if we choose to replace the desk, that would be a part of what we're dealing with too.
So at this point, that's a vague figure. You have no idea how much the real cleanup's gonna cost you.
It's going to be
Be a
expensive,
lot.
and I feel strongly that we don't want to underdo the foundation work with all the rest of the, all the rest of the stuff that this has caused or cost us.
This is not a project to cut corners on.
No.
Yeah.
Do we know anything about the in-floor heat and how the cutting into the floor is gonna affect that?
Yeah, so I checked the floor plan and the heating is far enough away.
Oh, yeah, good. Well, now I'm way less scared. Well, again, me not knowing a lot, I hope instead of jackhammering that they cut it with a saw, concrete saw. That'd be cleaner and faster and straighter, but I'll trust that they know what they're doing there. I feel like Tim's landscaping estimate is not quite as comprehensive of a solution as what we need.
No.
And I really want to make sure we're not
Doing this again next year.
right or ever again would be ideal. So it's huge though.
Yeah.
And we don't know how much FEMA will cover. I feel, after the training I got, I feel pretty confident that we'll get covered by something. And quite a lot, but we just can't count on that. So, I'm getting the impression just from Sarah's comment about not cutting corners and everyone nodding that we're on a similar page, that we should go ahead and pursue northern states. I guess further question I'd have is just how did you come about these two contractors, and have you talked or contacted any others?
So yes, Lenny did the initial search for contractors. Northern States has got an excellent reputation with very few problems or complaints. We had them come up, and then I wanted some alternatives. So I contacted other people, but was not able to get them fast enough for this meeting.
Well, Lenny did some research, and I feel good about that too.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm sorry, I missed a timeline in there.
I don't think there is one.
Okay.
When I received this quote, they estimated perhaps we could get this going in July,
Oh boy.
but that was a little while ago, so I'm not sure
Okay.
where it is right now.
And that would mean the library would be without air conditioning while the work is going on.
In certain areas of the library, in the staff areas, which we're not in, but also right at the front desk. I think that's true.
Well, and
Maybe in the lobby.
I think for a lot of this, we're not going to be open.
Yeah.
Oh, it's true too.
Yeah.
So would there then be a different optimal time to do it?
I mean, get her done.
Yeah.
We're limping along.
We can't really do the permanent repairs until this work is done.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be silly to do all the drywall and
Yes.
that sort of thing.
Yes.
And then come through and tear off
Yeah.
baseboard heaters.
Yeah.
Sooner the better, even if it is in kind of the peak season, eh?
I think so for the foundation work.
I was thinking, I was thinking about September,
Mm.
maybe. I mean, I don't know how. And that's putting it off. I think there's still, it's kind of pushing our temperatures,
Mm.
perhaps.
Yeah.
Especially if we're trying to piggyback the air source heat pump work, so. But if you're thinking that as painful as it'll be, peak time is the time to do it, then okay, sooner the better.
What a challenging bunch of stuff for you to deal with.
Oh my gosh.
It's- You're gonna get a long resume from this.
But you don't need that. You're not
Hopefully
going
I don't
anywhere.
need that. Hopefully I won't need it. Yeah.
Oy. All right. I'd never heard of the cactus board before.
That's cool, sounds cool.
Mhm. Okay. Well. Can you say more about that icing on the cake? Is that the clean space wall system?
Yes, it's called a clean space wall system, and it is a membrane that goes on the internal wall. It acts to funnel water down to the drain tile system to move it away from the wall. Justin felt that with us being thorough on the external wall, we probably don't have to go that route, but it would again be the icing on the cake if you wanted to be thorough. It's $1,700 more, and then, like I said, the work for staff would be to remove things higher up the wall. I think it goes about 4 feet up the wall.
Okay, yeah, it says owner would need to take all baseboards, electric lines, and power cables off the wall for this to be installed, which is huge. So,
Yep.
and if he doesn't think we need it, if we do a good enough job on the exterior, then maybe we should pass on that, or what are your thoughts?
I guess it's not just $1,700. It's
Right.
$1,700 plus the prep work and the
putting it
post work.
back. Plus the idea is for the water to not get in the
Right.
first place, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, are we ready for a motion? Or do we need to digest more? I would like to see this get taken care of as soon as possible. I think the community would as well.
Let's make it
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. Well, I'll make the motion to accept the proposal from Northern States and ask Amanda to move forward. Is there support?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, board. Thank you, Amanda,
Thanks, you guys.
Yes.
for your research and your dealing with all of this. I know it's not what you need.
I'm comfortable. I am surrounded by so much support, and staff is a part of that. So,
Excellent. Thank you, Kristen.
yeah.
Okay, well, that brings us to the budget projection. And I don't know if you still have time here, we're pushing it a bit.
I could do another 10 minutes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about this already with Kim. Is there more we want to discuss? Do you have questions? Kind of like what I said, and correct me if I'm wrong, the big thing is just that health insurance, and otherwise there's been some paring down both on the books and, I guess there was a slight increase in telephone. But otherwise, what was the other paring down I saw? There was something else.
Office supplies.
Office supplies. Membership dues are up. Anything we should know there?
It's been interesting incorporating the second director and trying to find the right balance of professional pursuit and,
Oh,
yeah, that's what that is. We're just trying to figure out what we need.
yeah, no, I mean, it's minimal here, but
Yeah.
I think it's important.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I guess I would accept this budget proposal. And, you know, we haven't been, doing our committees. We brought that to the full board, so that's basically what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions or want to take a minute to go line by line, or?
All seems really reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, I would certainly like to do more in books and periodicals. But considering just what we're hearing about health insurance, I think it's prudent to trim it down a little bit. And just see where we end up in the fall when we get more, and if Kim can do some shopping or whatever.
Yeah.
So I feel like we have consensus there.
Great.
Yeah.
Is there more you want from us on that?
I don't think so. I mean,
Okay.
I think this is a pretty solid way to move forward if the board feels confident advocating for this budget. And if there's no changes being requested, I can submit it to city, or I can bring it back at the next meeting and just give you a little more time to digest.
I'd say submit it. I don't know how others feel, but I'm sure not gonna come back and say, oh my gosh, you spent $350 for this. It's all good.
Yep, I feel the same. So then we would need a motion, matter of fact, to bring it forward to the city.
I move to submit this proposed budget to the city.
Thank you, Kevin. Motion, is there support?
I'll second.
Thank you, Sue. Any further discussion? Really curious what the city will say, and then, of course, be really
County.
curious what the county has to say, but I'll certainly advocate for this, and I think everyone can see really what's going on with the health insurance, and
Yeah.
it's got a deal, so. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And then we just have the fund statement, which is included in our packet, and then scheduling our next board meeting. As the 23rd of June. One thing I want to note is, I do have a conflict potentially. I'll have to be at the courthouse at 6 o'clock sharp. So, trust Kevin can take over if I gotta duck out early.
Sure.
But we've been doing things pretty lickety-split, so that may not be an issue, but just want to give everyone a heads up there. That is the night of the appeals, Board of Appeals and Equalization. And I don't know if you all got your tax statements, but there's a lot of consternation there. The market is evil. That was a joke. No one take that too literally. All right, then I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Thank you. Is there support?
I'll second.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.